Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Moran, and I'm the author of the Believers superhero novel trilogy. Today, we are reading chapter 22, The Cavalry Goes In. What's the plan? Cynthia asked. I don't know yet, Jerry admitted. We gotta do something. You all saw the pictures. Megafist and Dr. Diaz are screwed, Blake affirmed. How do we know those pictures are real? Vaughn asked. Alina agreed with Vaughn and said, We need more time to investigate. This could be a trap. We don't have time. We have to save them, Cynthia exclaimed. Then she cringed in frustration and pain. Jerry worriedly held Cynthia and explained, I know you want to help. We all do. But you already did a lot tonight. You saved everyone in the stadium from Inferno's explosion. Now you have to rest and let us take care of this. Cynthia wanted to argue, but she knew her mind and body were in no condition to fight. She exhausted most of her energy against Inferno and had a relentless headache. She was now lying on a couch in the FBI training facility, with her head on Jerry's lap. Everyone else was standing or sitting in chairs discussing what to do next. Mr. Cream walked over with bowls of ice cream and handed one to each person. He usually stays out of superhero conflicts, but this time he decided to give some advice. Growing up is difficult. You often run into trouble in situations where you might be in over your heads. Sometimes it's good to charge in, make mistakes, and learn from them. This time, however, could be dangerous and not something you'll come back from. I saw those villains with my own eyes at the stadium and realized their biggest advantage. They are older, more experienced, and a few steps ahead of us. Whatever they have planned for you won't be a picnic. I suggest staying away from them. The believers were all shocked and angry. They viewed Mr. Cream as a coward and a traitor. They couldn't believe he was asking them to give up on Megafist and Dr. Diaz. They were all about to retaliate until Agent X walked out of the room, out of the computer room, and gave his 2 cents. I think Mr. Cream has the right idea. Only fools would rush into a trap. Before you counter us with pointless arguments, take a moment to think. What do the villains have to gain from all of this? Why aren't they scared? They know how powerful you all are, and yet they still invite you to save Megafist and Dr. Diaz? They must have a surprise plan, an ace up their sleeve. And if you all go in now, you'll lose, just like Megafist did. Everyone looked at each other, realizing that they did not have a solid plan of how to rescue their friends. They also remembered how easily Megafist was subdued at the football stadium. The fight ended before it even began. After their thoughts and emotions settled, Jerry asked Agent X a simple question. If we're not going to save them, then what's your plan? My plan is for you all to sit here and let the FBI handle this. We've got years of training and the latest technology at our fingertips. How do you expect us to do nothing? There must be something we can do, Vaughn demanded, hating the idea of being useless. You'll have audio and video of everything happening in the mission, so you can watch and learn. This won't be the last time something like this happens. If you all plan on being heroes for the long term, then this is a great opportunity to take notes and prepare for the future. Jerry wasn't sure if the FBI could do it alone, but he did expend a lot of energy at the football stadium and figured he could use some time to rest and gain his energy back. He was also worried about Cynthia and wanted to watch over her. Blake and Vaughn were both eager to jump into action, but they did feel slightly intimidated after seeing Megafist lose so easily. They also thought watching an FBI mission would be cool and a good learning experience. Alina was worried about Cynthia and wanted to stay with her. Additionally, she knew her powers were not meant for combat and thought to herself, what could I possibly do against those villains anyway? Lastly, Cynthia was still recovering and cringed, knowing she wasn't strong enough to help Dr. Diaz nor Megafist in her current state. She felt like a failure, but Jerry disagreed and comforted her to make her feel better. Jerry took a long look at everyone. Then he nodded and gave Agent X his approval. The believers considered Jerry their leader and agreed as well. Agent X gave them all a big thumbs up and began implementing his plan. He walked into the computer room and made numerous phone calls. The FBI had already analyzed all evidence and discovered the address where Megafist and Doc Diaz were being held hostage. Now the last step was to create a rescue squad. Then they could infiltrate the enemy hideout. Agent X wanted a team of 14 FBI agents, including himself. He felt this mission was too important to sit out on the sidelines. He worked 10 years as field agent with great success and knew his experience and skills would be helpful. As for the other agents, he recruited 4 snipers and 9 close combat specialists. Agent X suited up as the 10th close combatant, wearing a bulletproof vest, a flame retardant jumpsuit, and a tactical helmet with radio, camera, and thermal vision. 2 black helicopters soon landed in front of the FBI training facility, loaded with personnel and weapons for the mission. Agent X explained to the believers that they could watch all the action in the computer room. All the FBI agents were equipped with the same tactical helmets as Agent X, so the believers could observe the mission from multiple angles. The believers wished Agent X good luck and watched as they took off in the helicopters. Helicopters can fly up to 250 miles per hour, making it a fast trip to a destination. When Agent X and his men arrived at the hostage site, they saw a thick cloud of fog hovering around a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. Agent X had access to satellites and thermal vision, confirming that multiple people were inside the farmhouse, including Inferno, who was glowing brighter and hotter than everyone else. Agent X gave his men a strategy pep talk before going in. There's lots of fog out there, most likely being created by the villain named Darcy. They're probably expecting us to get rid of the fog somehow, but we're actually going to use that fog to our advantage and sneak up on the enemy. I want our 4 snipers to position themselves far apart and observe all outside walls and surrounding areas of the farmhouse, in case there are additional unknown enemies trying to ambush us, or if the villains try to escape. As for my ground agents, we will split into parties of 2 and 3. Groups of 3 will enter the fog and infiltrate the farmhouse from the front and back. Groups of 2 will approach the farmhouse from the sides and enter through a window, roof, or blow a hole in the wall if needed. However, we need to be careful not to harm the hostages. Any questions? No, sir. Is everyone ready to go? Yes, sir. All right, boys, let's go. Make it quick and clean so we all come back as heroes. Let's show the believers what we're made of. Agent X declared, wanting to prove his worth and show the believers that superpowers are not always the answer to every problem. All the FBI agents hopped off the helicopter and scurried to their positions according to plan. They now had the farmhouse surrounded and stood just outside the fog, waiting for their orders. There was convenient, tall, thick grass everywhere, perfect for hiding. Agent X waited for the helicopter to leave, then he asked the snipers if they see any danger outside the fog. Everyone reported that the surrounding areas were safe, which meant it was time to begin infiltration. Agent X grouped up with 2 men at the front. There were 3 men in the back, and groups of 2 men on the sides, all stealthily entering the fog. The fog was so thick that they could taste it, even while wearing tactical helmets. They couldn't see through the fog normally, so they relied upon thermal vision in their helmets. They walked carefully towards the farmhouse for a while. Then they got onto the ground and began crawling through the tall, thick grass. They truly felt invisible, as if the enemies would never see them coming. But they were sadly mistaken. Darcy had trained and improved her fog powers immensely after the music concert. She could now feel anything or anyone within her fog and know their exact location. With that knowledge, the villains were able to create a perfect counterplan. Since the masked villain worked with police in the past, he knew the FBI agents would use thermal vision to see through the fog. As the FBI agents grew closer to the farmhouse, Inferno created enough heat to fill the house, making it impossible for the FBI agents to use thermal vision and pinpoint enemy locations. This allowed the masked villain, Darcy, and Porter to teleport in and out of the house unnoticed. Since Darcy could feel the enemy's locations within the fog, she told Porter where each FBI group was, and they ambushed each group one by one. They teleported behind each group of FBI agents, and the masked villain used his superpower to mind control them. With a quick burst of dark energy, they now followed his every command. Every FBI agent fell under the masked villain's mind control power, except the snipers. Inferno reduced his heat back to normal, and Darcy lifted the fog, making everything seem like it was safe. The snipers now saw the farmhouse, and Agent X told them via radio that the mission was a success. He ordered the snipers to disarm and come to the farmhouse in preparation for helicopter pickup. All of this was a lie. The snipers were happy and unprepared to die that night. They approached the front of the house where they were met by all their fellow FBI agents. The snipers smiled and congratulated them for completing the mission. Suddenly, the FBI agents took out assault rifles aimed at their snipers' chests. The snipers put their hands up in fear and confusion, not understanding why this was happening. The masked villain showed no remorse and ordered his mind-controlled agents to fire away. The snipers' bodies jolted from several gunshots, and they let out awful shrieks of pain. They fell like rocks onto the ground, lifeless and unmoving. They never stood a chance. The believers watched in horror as the FBI mission went terribly wrong. Mr. Cream performed a silent prayer in honor of the fallen snipers. Cynthia looked away as the snipers were shot, feeling guilty that she wasn't there to save them. Alina, however, stared at the event, letting it fuel her rage and motivate her to change. She was tired of feeling useless in battle and determined to find new ways to use her mind powers. Blake and Vaughn wanted revenge and were ready to fight, begging Jerry to teleport them to the villains. But Jerry refused and explained, "We don't know how that villain's mind control works. I want to help as badly as you do, but we need more time to come up with a plan. We don't want to fall into the same trap as Agent X and the FBI. We're also last line of defense, so whatever we do, we gotta make it count." Jerry's words calmed down his fellow believers, but deep inside, Jerry was furious. He felt darkness in his heart, realizing that this masked villain probably mind-controlled Laser Point and forced him to kill Leah. Jerry wanted to destroy the villain and tear off his mask to reveal his identity. Could it really be who he thinks it is? Could that man be back after he disappeared a year ago? The man in question left the police department without warning after the major gang incident in Dynamite City. But why do all this? Why now? And how did he gain mind control powers? Jerry thought to himself. After Jerry's moment of contemplation, the masked villain picked up a dead sniper's helmet. He found the helmet camera, wiped off bloodstains, looked directly at it, and said, "I know you're watching all of us. Why didn't you come, believers? Are you afraid? You should be. Thanks for giving me Megafist and well-trained FBI agents. They'll come in handy real soon. And don't worry about Dr. Diaz. He's in a better place now. But it wasn't easy getting there." The masked villain violently slammed the helmet on the ground and yelled, "Porter! Time to begin phase 2, let's go!" Within seconds, everyone disappeared from the farmhouse. They were all gone. Jerry clenched his fist, knowing that whatever comes next will not be easy to handle. The worst problem was Porter and his teleportation. The villains could appear anywhere. Everyone looked grim, not knowing how to deal with this threat after watching the FBI fail. Mr. Cream knew he couldn't fight, but he tried to cheer them up. "I know you all have a tough road ahead, but I believe in you. These villains may seem daunting and unbeatable, but you'll find a way. For now, try to take life one scoop at a time." Mr. Cream used his powers to create more ice cream for everyone. They tried to remain serious and ignore the ice cream, but Blake was hungry and swallowed a mouthful. Everyone noticed how silly Blake looked, and they also realized Mr. Cream was trying to help. So they all slightly grinned and enjoyed their fresh ice cream. They all silently agreed that this could be their last meal, so it was best to enjoy it now while it lasts. And that's it. We have completed chapter 22. Thank you all very much. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will try to make videos more timely. So again, thank you very much, and have a good one.